Okay, at this point I displayed the latest process in the home page in our Nuxt application. So let's move to this blog page. In this blog page also we need to display the all process like the home page, but I will display this process in using another approach, using some kind of store. Here we will adopt using Pinia store in view 3. So here if you return back to the code, I already added another sample data to the db.json file, so we can simulate this in Pinia store. Okay, so let's see how to integrate Pinia store in the Nuxt 3 application. In fact, there are two ways to integrate Pinia store in Nuxt, using Pinia as a module or as a plugin. Okay, so let's see the first approach, using Pinia as a plugin. Here, if you return back the browser and search for Pinia store in Vuejs, and here we'll copy this command to install Pinia using npm or using pr. Here I'm using npm, so let's install npm install Pinia. And now let's go back to the terminal. Okay, and now I will paste this command here and wait for the installation to be completed. You may encounter this error, and this is a simple error. So let's simply, you can add this flag legacy beer depths and run the command again. And now Pinia package is installed. Okay, now let's go back to the code. We'll create a plugin to use this Pinia store. So let's create in the root directory of the project a new directory called plugins. The plugins directory is where you add your plugins, and Nuxt 3 is smart to auto scan this directory and load and register these plugins. Okay, so let's create a new plugin. I will call it Pinia.ts. Okay, and here is the point. When there are some conversions when naming the plugin files. You can name the plugin file as you see here. I'm using it Pinia.ts or whatever, foo.ts or foo.js or whatever name you choose. And if you add the suffix .client or .server, here you are telling that this plugin will be loaded on client or server. For example, if I add this .server extension before the .ts of the file, and this means this plugin will be loaded on server only. If I add instead of the .server client, so this plugin will be loaded on client only. But if I remove this, there is no .server or .client, so this plugin will be loaded on client and server. Okay, also you don't need, inside of the nuxt.config.ts there is a plugins key. Here you can add a plugins key, okay, to load the plugins, but you don't need to do this, as Nuxt 3 will automatically load the scan and load the plugins inside of the plugins directory unless you add a nested plugin. For example, if you create a new nested directory inside of the plugins folder, let's say it other plugins. Okay, let's add new file Vuejs. Okay, here in this case you have to add this plugin bus inside of the plugins array in the nuxt.config.ts. okay, as Nuxt cannot scan this nested directory. So for the plugins located directly in the plugins folder, you don't have to add this plugin inside of the plugins key in the nuxt.config.ts. And if you add a nested plugin, you have to add this plugin explicitly in the plugins array in the nuxt.config.ts. So I will remove this key here. And by the way, if you to add the key to, you have to specify the bus like so, plugins, and then other plugins. I am showing this for clarification, and Vuejs. Okay, or you can remove this extension. Okay, so let's remove this from here, and I will remove this directory also. And let's create the code for our Pinia plugin. Here we'll load the Pinia instance in the view application. Okay, so to create a plugin or to provide this Pinia instance as a plugin, Nuxt provide us the define Nuxt plugin. So you have to export default define Nuxt plugin. Okay, and the define Nuxt plugin can accept a function and can accept an object. So let's stick with a function. This function takes one argument, which is the Nuxt app instance. Okay, so here I'm using export default, not clear, sorry, define Nuxt plugin, and here we provide the Nuxt app, and the Nuxt app contains the view application or the view instance inside it. So let's first create a instance equal create, yeah, okay, and for reference you can go here and check the creation of the create using the create Pinia function. Now let's return again. So I created a new Pinia instance. Let's provide this Pinia to the view app. Okay, so simply can use Nuxt app dot view app dot use as using or registering normal view plugins, view app to use, and Pinia. Okay, and now that's it. So we created our plugin, and the plugin is automatically detected by the Nuxt application. So the next thing is create a new directory called stores. So this is where our stores will be located, and in the stores directory I will create a store. Let's say it, for example, use search store. Use search store. okay. And this store will declare or define at the code for using or creating our search store. Here we'll use the composable composition API syntax for creating the store using setup function, not the options approach. Okay, so let's see this in the next video.